Kevin Harvick is one of the most controversial drivers on the NASCAR grid, and that goes without saying. Harvick has had his fair share of trouble and conflicts with other NASCAR drivers such as Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch. One couldn't deny the fact that Harvick is one of the most talented drivers on the grid, and for him to have such stats even at 46 years of age means a lot to SHR. However, popularity and reputation aren't really on his side, which is why other NASCAR drivers find it hard to respect the two-time NASCAR champion. Before we go deeper into the driver's opinion on Harvick, let's see why the hatred towards him is so strong. Kevin Harvick has made some shocking statements in his career, especially regarding the late legend of the sport, Dale Earnhardt. When talking about the junior Earnhardt and his father, Harvick said, "Earnhardt hasn't been anywhere close to being our most successful driver. For me, I believe Dale Jr. has the biggest part of stunting the growth of NASCAR because he's got these legions of fans, this huge outreach of being able to reach these places none of us have the possibility to reach." Apart from that, Harvick made some interesting statements toward Kyle Busch, these two colliding multiple times on the track. At one point, Harvick said that he wished to punch Busch in the nose and insisted that Busch was scared of him. Harvick had also had his fair share of conflicts with Chase Elliott, but we'll get to that later in this video. Kyle Busch spoke about the incident that happened between him and Kevin Harvick, and he had some interesting words to add to the SHR driver. Harvick explained what happened first, adding that he was forced to do what he did at Darlington Speedway, as Busch said, "Apparently, he's watching too much hockey. I did have a left rear tire flat, believe that for what it's worth." Busch also added that there isn't much to discuss when it comes to the rivalry between him and Harvick, because they aren't really the best of friends. While Harvick has been much more vocal about the incident, Busch has learned that the best way is to keep your mouth shut and let the actions speak louder than your words. Let's remember the incident that happened between Elliott and Harvick back in Bristol in 2021, when Harvick thought that Elliott slowed him down so that LARSON, who was Elliott's teammate, can pass Harvick for the win with 4 laps left. Harvick had some really strong words about this situation, adding that it was manipulated and Elliott deserves a strong punishment. To this, Elliott had a very harsh response, adding, "He's Harvick, entitled to his opinion, and it's great. For me, I'm looking forward to today as much as everybody tries to let last week weigh over the race. I think you have to have your eyes forward. It's up to those guys how they want to be and act. For me, I don't have a lot to say about it anymore. I kind of said my piece. I'm looking forward to tonight." There have been some talks about Elliott becoming a target for another driver, Harvick, in this particular instance. Harvick was really furious about the way that Elliott races, and that is why people thought that Elliott would become his target. To this, Elliott replied, "No, in fact, I care less about this confrontation than I ever have any other in the past. I don't know if that's time or being around more. You're more focused on the right things a little more as the weeks come along. I'm looking forward to the race." Later on in the season in Charlotte, Harvick got served by Elliott, who deliberately crashed his car into the number 9 driver, therefore eliminating him from the playoff contention. This was suggested by Elliott earlier in the season, more precisely after he'd been wrecked in Bristol, adding that he'll have his way whenever he has the chance. In Charlotte, the chance was presented and Elliott utilized it to the fullest. Dale Earnhardt Jr. also spoke about the comments made by Kevin Harvick, labeling them hurtful. It goes without saying that Dale Jr. was truly hurt by what Harvick had to say, and keep in mind that Harvick isn't any kind of driver in NASCAR. He is an ambassador for the sport and a 2-time champion, something that Dale Jr. stressed as well. "I have an incredible amount of respect for him, Harvick. I found some of those comments hurtful. I still respect him as a champion and ambassador for the sport. That's just the way it is, I guess. I hate that's how he feels." Earnhardt has earned NASCAR's most popular driver award for 14 straight years, and he doesn't believe that his popularity has hurt the sport in any way, something that Harvick added. Dale Jr. spoke about this instance, adding, "I certainly hope that's not the case. I put a lot into this sport, and I know that I might not have met everyone's expectations, but I certainly exceeded my own, and I'm super proud of what I've been able to accomplish. I hope that I brought something to the table and left a good impact." Obviously, Kevin Harvick isn't really the fan favorite driver in NASCAR, and one huge reason for that is his dominance in the sport. Apart from being a 2-time NASCAR champion, Harvick has been able to dominate the sport for quite some time, and there are some records that he holds that are really hard to break. For example, Harvick has the best average finish every year and most top 5 and top 10 finishes in the season for SHR ever since he joined the team in 2014. Harvick has consistently led the team in single-season stat categories, and in 2021, he fell short of a record that he has held since 2014, the most wins in a season. On top of that, Harvick also has the best photo finish in all but 2 seasons. This is why it's much easier to have hater base rather than a fan base. It's similar with other sports as well. Just look at Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen and compare the amount of haters and the amount of fans between the two. There are lots of opinions on Harvick on social media regarding the incident with Kyle Busch on Facebook, as there was an official poll by NASCAR's Facebook profile regarding who they support more. Fans wrote, "They are both great drivers. I have to give Harvick the edge. Kyle is usually as good as his car and team. Kevin is competitive regardless and has more skill getting through crowds. He's the best since Earnhardt at charging to the front. I'm calling it right here. Harvick will get that cup again this year. Then Kyle will blame everybody but himself for his loss. Kevin Harvick is my choice to win the 2018 NMESC championship. You didn't see Harvick whining and crying when he would finish second in a race like Crybaby did. That way, 3-time can be 5-time. If you are wondering who that is, one word says it all: smoke." Rest assured that Kevin Harvick has had his fair share of conflicts with NASCAR officials as well. In 2022, Harvick was forced to retire in the first race of the season due to his car catching fire, and the second-time world champion hadn't experienced any issues with his engine prior to this incident, nor had the car suffered any damage. In an interview afterwards, Harvick blamed the issue on crappy parts in the next-gen car, suggesting that NASCAR wouldn't address the problem, stating that they don't care. NASCAR had come up with an official response to this matter, and although they particularly agreed with Harvick that these issues are not allowed to happen in NASCAR, they condemned the behavior of Kevin, who should have known better after being a 2-time NASCAR champion and an ambassador for the sport for a long time. Scott Miller, who was NASCAR's senior vice president of competition, spoke about Harvick's comments and the situation that emerged in the first race of the season with SiriusXM NASCAR radio, adding, "Nobody wants to see this happening. I know that was an emotional time and his race was ruined, but to say that NASCAR didn't care is about as far from the truth as you could get. That's really all I have to say about that. I'm not going to get into any kind of back and forth contest with Kevin over the airwaves. I think he actually does know we do care." Miller continued to talk about the new generation of cars, adding that the sport is looking into these matters deeper to ensure that stuff like this won't happen again. "We're certainly digging into the cause. We had cars in this morning looking for signs of anything that may have triggered that. We have done so all year. There's a lot of rubber at Darlington. You know, the cheese grater that we've all talked about. We're not certain if rubber getting into the rocker box was the problem in Harvick's case or not. We're debriefing it all. It's unacceptable for the cars to catch on fire." With that being said, it's obvious that Harvick has both fans and haters behind his back, and while it's up to you to decide which one you were going to be if you hadn't made up your mind by now, you can't deny the fact that he's a great talent. On top of that, he's won 2 championships in NASCAR and is keeping some records that are very hard to break. His experience does give him a bit of an authority when it comes to commenting about certain things, which is utilized by his side to the fullest. What is your honest opinion of Harvick? Are you a fan? And do you think this is the most hated driver in NASCAR today? Let us know in the comments below. We want to thank all our current subscribers for watching all the way to the end. And if you're not subscribed already, make sure to hit that button and turn on all post notifications. The next video will be a big one, so you surely don't want to miss out. Till next time, racers.